What's up, guys? Today's the big day. They finally released information on the game. They did the big cover reveal. So I'm going to get into the information and tell you what I think. So, obviously, the first thing was the cover reveal, and it's Kevin Harvick with Tony Stewart in the background. And the gold edition's going to, the actual gold box is going to be Jeff Gordon. It actually looks pretty cool, but that being said, these cover reveals, they keep doing this every year. They keep making it like this huge announcement. It's not that big a deal. I couldn't care less who's on the box. Uh, that doesn't really add any excitement. It doesn't really, to me, market the game. It's just fluff. So it is what it is. And then moving on from that, we're going to talk about the uh, the game. Oh boy, I don't know where to start because I'm a little bit confused. If I had to describe what NASCAR Heat 4 seems to be, I think I would call it NASCAR Heat 3 2.0 or just call it NASCAR Heat 4 the patch. Because from everything I've seen, and I really went through everything with a magnifying glass. There just isn't a lot there. When I read all the so-called features, most of it, not all of it, but most of it are things that most other developers would consider patches. The majority of the work or the things that 704 is touting are gameplay mechanics. Things like the physics, which they did reveal that yes, the physics are new and improved. The AI, the handling, the I guess the AI is going to spread out. I still can't really figure out the way they worded certain things, spread and but run different lines, that kind of stuff. There wasn't really any mention of tire model. The tire wear is a huge part of the reason that the racing fell short with NASCAR Heat 3. So they have yet to really talk about that. You got the track map, which is a nice addition. It's things people have asked for, but it's not really a feature. It's just, they could have added that to NASCAR Heat 3 as a patch. Um, I don't know. There's just not a lot there. And they are really stretching the marketing paper thin. They are like there's really nothing there. And if they had any surprises in store, we would have heard today. This is the time to do it. This was the big reveal. And the fact that we didn't really hear anything substantial just goes to show you that NASCAR Heat 4 is basically NASCAR Heat 3 polished. They just took last year's game and polished it. Now, the graphics and the sound is something they're touting. And I seen some new screenshots today, and I have to admit, it does look better. But I do see some people getting carried away, and it's like, wow, it's a huge difference. Maybe it's just me. I don't think we've seen enough to make that determination. 704 does seem to be putting emphasis on the graphics, so I have to believe them, because that would be an epic failure if they put this much emphasis on things like the graphics and sound, and then it turns out it's not that big of a difference. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt there. But I don't think we're going to know what the graphics are like or the sound until we see actual gameplay footage. That's how the game looks when you're actually playing it. I don't want to see trailer footage or just edited video clips of the game. I want to see actual gameplay footage. So the video, the graphics and the sound, I'm gonna have to wait before I really know what I feel about it. But I'm taking them at their word. So those are things that they worked on this year, and the mechanics. Like I said, the physics, the AI, and even then they don't. There's no detail yet. They haven't really gone into detail. Everything is vague. They said deeper career mode, enhanced. Still not a lot of info, but here's the thing they did say. Tony Stewart is going to have a race team in the Dirt Series. You're going to have the opportunity to drive for him and even get a special paint scheme, and that's nice, all right. But these aren't things that excite me for the game. I'm only speaking for myself, but that's not a big deal to me, and I don't really particularly care about the Dirt Series. It's like I will play it, but it'll be part of a career progression thing. Once I get through it, I never look back. And I don't think Tony Stewart's going to make it any more enticing to me. So that's something they added. They also made it... This is the thing that kind of bothers me. When they talked about the career mode is deeper, they go and tell you, well, now you can race in any series right away. You don't have to build your way up from the Dirt Series. And that's nice as an option, right? But is this something that's worthy of listing as a feature? This is not looking good. And they're just really spreading things thin with the marketing. So that's what they consider deeper. Maybe there's more info coming, but I'm just saying this is the official release day. The official release of information is today. Is what they gave us and what's on the website. There's not much there. It's basically just they polished up last year's game. Yes, they also said you're getting the updated Sonoma track with the carousel, but yeah, you're supposed to do that. If you're keeping this game up to date with the current season, you're supposed to do that. I can't give you credit for that. You have to keep this game updated every year, especially if you're doing these yearly sports titles. You gotta have everything up to date. So, can I really get excited about that? Not really. The Martinsville night race, you're going to be able to race it, but only in quick race, single race, because of licensing. And as I told you guys, licensing really hurts the development of these games. So you won't be able to really play online, or I don't think even in career mode, until 2020, or I don't know what, the next season. So, okay, I can do quick races at Martinsville at night. Again, this isn't that big of a deal to me. The things that I consider major are the fundamental additions to career mode, to the game in general. Did you add something substantial? Now, I've said it before, these guys do baby steps every year. This year is not even a baby step. It's a baby rolling over in his crib. Last year, at least, you got the Dirt Series and the ownership mode. So, even though it wasn't like a huge step forward, it was something exciting to look forward to in the game. This year, there's nothing. It's just like, okay, we just tweaked the gameplay mechanics for you. And then we added a couple of these little extra things that they're just not that big a deal to me. I might be one of the only people who feel that way. And if I am, then boo-hoo on me. You know, I'm not all that matters here. I can't say I speak for everyone. Maybe it is just me. Am I missing something? Should I be more excited? I don't see much to be excited about. Now, I'm not telling you that what they tell you they did isn't good or important, because it is. Yeah, the physics needed work. The AI definitely needs work. The sound needed work. And the graphics too. So if this game really does move forward noticeably, right? Where you play the game and you're like, whoa, this is nothing like last year. Everything's much better. It sounds better. It looks better. The racing is better. Everything uh, during the gameplay, everything works much better. If I feel like that, I'm going to feel better about the game. But that's a question mark. We're just right now getting this promise that, yeah, we fixed all this, or we worked on it, this is all new and improved. So it's important, and I'm glad they're doing it, and they should. But overall, they're selling you a game. They're not selling you DLC. And that's the biggest issue I have at this point. This could change in a week. Maybe they start releasing a bunch of surprise information. But I'm telling you, if they had anything substantial as far as information about this game, they would have told us by now. I think this is it. This is it. This is what it is. So it's basically a glorified DLC package. And if you really want to be technical, most of this stuff is something that I would consider a patch. This isn't worth the price of a whole new game. That's what really bothers me. Because if they had come out and said, look, we're not releasing a game this year. We have a lot to work on. But we did work on the current game. We improved it. And then list all these things. And then say, we are selling this as a DLC package to improve this game. And it's going to be $25. Because, in my opinion, this is all that this is worth, is $25. Everything that I've seen that they've listed, I don't see anything here that's worth selling people as a new game. To me, this is really stretching things, marketing-wise. And when you're selling people a new game every year, you got to come to the table with a lot more than this. And I get it. I've heard how small this developer is. I've even read, I don't know if I saw this in a comment section somewhere. Somebody said that they saw that there was just like 6 people who officially actually are developers who work on the game. And I don't know if that's true. But the point is, everybody keeps saying that this is a small developer. I've even seen a few people refer to them as an indie developer. So if they really are that small, I could forgive them for saying, "Hey, we're gonna wait another year to release a full game. But we worked on this, and we're gonna release it as DLC. $25, but you're gonna get all this stuff, and stick with us, because when we do release the game the following year, it's gonna be a dramatic step forward." I would have much more respect for these guys. But what they're doing is they are doing this cut and paste rehash that, it's rampant in the gaming industry, but this is worse, because at least when you look at other sports titles, you're getting more than this. They are basically telling you things like, oh, physics and the AI is running better and is going to be better, and this is all tweaks to the gameplay mechanics. These aren't things that are supposed to be features. And the reason they're listed as features is because there really isn't anything else. Then you say enhanced career mode, and then you go on to say, well, now you could run any series you want right off the bat. You don't have to go up, and work your way up. That's deeper. That's just an option. You just made it optional, which is great. I love that, because I always said options are great. That's not a fucking feature. This is a glorified patch to NASCAR Heat 3. That's what it is, and there is a chance that I could be wrong. They come out with a bunch more information, and if they do, I'll be the first to put up a video. I'll talk about it, and I'll say, hey, boy, was I wrong, and I'm glad I was wrong, and I hope I have to do a video like that. But it doesn't make sense to me using common sense and logic, and the way I've seen this every year, the way I see things develop, this is it. It doesn't make sense to hold back big information at this point. You want to get people excited. We're not that far away from September. So they're not going to play games like that. They're trying to tell us everything there is and trying to make it sound like more than what it is. But that's all it is. It's a glorified patch. At best, it's DLC to NASCAR Heat 3. And it updates everything. It brings everything, rosters, paint schemes up to date. And that's if you get the gold package. If you decide to say, well, that stuff just isn't worth it, I'll just pay $50 for the base game. Well, guess what? You're out of luck, because a lot of these updates that keep the game at least current with the season in NASCAR, you're going to miss out on with the paint schemes and all that stuff. Something else that really bothers me, and I should have picked this up when I did the earlier video about the listings and all the features. Now, I don't care about esports, and I don't care about online multiplayer. However, for those of you who do care about that, this is the shit that pisses me off about game developers. And it's not just these guys, but they find ways to make it where you almost have to buy the next game. Otherwise, you get screwed. Where they list esports, they tell you, remember, in order to participate in esports and the NASCAR Pro League, you can only do it through NASCAR Heat 4. Meaning, if you're somebody who says, screw this ain't worth it, I'm not buying this, I'll just keep playing NASCAR Heat 3, but you want to participate in esports and the Pro League, or even in just continue online racing, a lot of those people are going to move on to Heat 4. So there's going to be less people in the lobbies, if they even keep the lobbies. I mean, God knows, who knows what these guys are going to pull. But the only way you're going to be able to participate in esports and the Pro League is you have to get NASCAR Heat 4. So NASCAR Heat 4, not only is it a glorified patch / DLC, it's also a pass to give you access to esports. So if you really want to be a part of that, that's the only way to do it. You're going to have to buy the game. And that kind of shit bothers me. And it's even worse here because there's nothing else going on with the game. It's just really, we fixed a lot of stuff of the issues, which with a lot of other games, they're just patched. That's what patches are supposed to do. They could have patched the physics and made it better. They could have patched the AI, make them spread out more, the tire wear. These are things that could be patched. But they said, fuck it, let's just work on all this stuff and that's going to be the next game. There's no presentation. There's no narrative for the career mode. What is there? It's just, the more you look at all the details, the more you notice that there's nothing. They're selling you last year's game, but polished and they worked on things. So that brings me to my final thoughts on what is going on so far, right? Because this could change. But I'm just saying, I don't think it is. I'm not sure how I feel about this game. I'm disappointed I am not really as excited as I was earlier. And I waited for today because I said, there's got to be something else. And really, Tony Stewart, he's going to be part of the Dirt Series, and you could drive for him, and there's this extra paint scheme, and that stuff is so minimal. It doesn't really make the overall product that much better. This isn't even a baby step. It's just they're putting all their eggs in one basket, and that basket is fixing the gameplay mechanics and improving the graphics and the sound. That's the meat of NASCAR Heat 4 as compared to last year. So if you're going to put all your eggs in one basket, first of all, there's not even half a dozen eggs. It's just a handful of eggs in one basket. I'm telling you now, this game better be noticeably better. Not where you're like, yeah, it kind of feels a little better here, but there's still an issue here. Yeah, the sound is better, but yeah, they're still not where it should be. Or yeah, the graphics are a little better, but not that much. Or the AI, they're kind of better, but they still have issues. They still, the sense of awareness isn't there. They still don't spread out as much as they should. There's still issues pitting. The tire model still feels like it's not. If these are the thoughts you're having when you play the game, then this is going to be a colossal fucking failure for 704. And I guarantee you, a lot of people are just going to walk away. And people are going to walk away now. Because I'm pretty sure that people, there's got to be someone out there that feels the way I do. And looks at this and says, I'm done. What did you do all year? You spent an entire year and there's no substantial change. Unless you can say that all we have are 5 or 6 people working on this game, and all we could get done this year is to go back in and fix these issues that people have been complaining about, and I have no problem with that. So before anyone says anything, I agree that they had to fix these things. I agree that they had to make sure this stuff is improved, because that is important. The actual gameplay, the racing, has to be good. And if they are successful in really improving that, then yes, I'll be somewhat happy with the game. But man, I can't deny that I'm really disappointed to see that there's not much else. So if this is all you got for us, yeah, I am expecting to see a big difference visually. I want to be wowed by the sound and be like, wow, this sounds really good. This is how a NASCAR game should sound. When I'm racing, that the AI is competitive, but the awareness is better. They spread out properly. The pitting is fixed. There's better tire wear. All these things. If all that stuff has to be really noticeable for me to really excuse what's happening here, because this is glorified DLC. That's what it is. That's how I feel about it at this time and date, and that could change, but I doubt it. I doubt it. Did I miss anything? I don't know. And I read an article. I don't know if it was a Polygon article or Motorsport. And the entire article is the guy talking with Kevin Harvick about how to set up the car and how important it is to drop the tire pressure to help the car turn and blah, blah, blah. It would have been better if I saw, the game is going to guide you through helping you set the car up better. Maybe your crew chief helps you out. The type of ideas I've brought up many times in the past, that's exciting. I don't want to hear about your conversation with Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick and NASCAR, they are like this now with 704. They have a partnership, and it's all about this pro league and all this other shit. And this whole idea that, oh, you're racing for real NASCAR teams. It's all marketing, man. That's the type of stuff that, yeah, to me, if you're 14 years old, I could see you getting into that. But that stuff doesn't work on me. It's all marketing. Well, another thing is the online multiplayer and the esports. Now, if you are going to focus more on that stuff, right? Not my cup of tea, but even that, I haven't seen anything that says we worked on the online multiplayer and we added this and we fixed that. Nothing. Everything about this game in terms of the information is vague. There's very little that's actually descriptive. Everything is vague. And they're just kind of telling you everything's new and improved. And really, that's all there is. And when you look at the gold and the regular $50 and the gold at $70, it's more marketing. Because you see the thing where it's like getting the game 3 days early. That's another marketing gimmick. Let's say that the intent was to release the game on September 10th. I'm just throwing a date out there. All they have to do is push the release to the 13th, right? And then tell people, well, if you pre-order the game and buy the $70 version, you can get the game on the September 10th instead of 13th. Are you really getting the game earlier, or did you just push back everyone else 3 days? There are ways to play with things. And if you don't understand what I'm trying to tell you, think of it this way. How many times have you seen a clothing store at the mall and they have all these signs up? Going out of business. Everything half off, half price, 50% off. And then you come back to the mall 6 months later and the store is exactly as it was. And you still see going out of business, 50% off. It's marketing. That's to make you feel like you're saving money. And yeah, you do save some money. But here's what they do in the store. So let's say a t-shirt, a shirt, is $35. Normal price. They're going to drop the price to $25. But in order for them to claim that you're saving 50% off, they mark up the price from $35 to $50, the original price. That's all they do. They just mark the price up on all the items, so that when they drop it by 50%, you're not really saving 50%. You think you are, and it feels good. You're saving money. I'm not saying you're not, but it's not what they lead you to believe. It's all part of marketing. It's a gimmick. It's how to play with things to make you, the consumer, feel like you're getting more than you really are. So what they're doing here with this game, there's a lot of stretching and a lot of gimmicks. And when you're telling people, yeah, you could get the game 3 days early if you pre-order or you get the gold. Listen, all they did was probably delay whatever their original release date is set for. They're just gonna make everyone else release the game for everyone else 3 days later. So yeah, technically you are getting the game still 3 days before everyone else, but it's just a game that they play because they have to make it enticing to get the game or to spend the extra money. And for me, I'm old school. If you want my money, give me a reason. In this game, I don't think it's worth the price of a new game. This is glorified DLC, and when you look at everything that you're gonna get with this game, At best, it's worth $25. So I'm really trying to be fair to these guys. I know they're not the biggest developer, and you know, a lot of people keep insisting it's only a handful of guys. Well, this is another thing I've talked about in the past. As a company, if you're going to compete in this market, you can't compete and tell everyone, well, we're just a small developer. We can only do so much. That's fine if you want to do that, but then you can't go out and just push out these games every year. You're not capable of pushing out a fully fleshed out product on a yearly basis, then don't do it. Release a game once every 2 years if you have to. Or if you really feel like you have to push out a game every year so that you can stay in business, right? I get that. Then go out and hire some fucking help. Real help. Not a bunch of guys who are part of esports. Not a bunch of marketing guys. You guys got to go out and hire actual developers. You could have hired a handful of guys extra, brought them in and say, okay, you guys are just going to focus on, let's say, presentation. Let's start building a narrative around the game, and let's get the stats issue fixed, and let's flesh the game out more, and take the career mode and the ownership. Let's get in there and work on that. Get into the customization. All right, if you can't give us a paint booth this year, fine, but go into the current customization setup. Hey man, add a bunch of fucking extra templates. Give us a better color palette. Give us more options. How about letting us customize the fire suit and the fucking driver helmet? Just cool little things. If you would have hired some extra fucking people, you could get these things done. But instead, you want to go out and hire a bunch of fucking people strictly for esports or this the online multiplayer side of things, and this is what happens. Now, you still just got a handful of people trying to make this shit work, and all they could get done is gameplay mechanic improvements. And yeah, it probably does take a lot of work, and it probably, because they also have to test, which I hope they're doing, because if this is all you're giving us, the shit better work out the box. So working on things like graphics, yeah, that is work, intensive. And maybe I could see that probably a big chunk of their time was going back in there and they're saying, hey man, let's really spice up the graphics. I get it. I'm not a moron. I understand these things. But it's the decision making by 704 that I've talked about for years now. That it's not so much their ability, because they've shown ability to do things. It's their decision making. And the decisions they make on where to focus, what to work on, that's their biggest fucking issue. I don't know what else to say. I know you guys are like, man, this is a downer for me, watching your video, hearing you talk about it. It sucks. I'm not telling you guys that the game's going to be bad. It's going to be better than last year simply because they went in and they're just working on the gameplay mechanics. And they are spicing up the graphics. And they are giving you a new and hopefully improved sound, which is big, really big for me. So these things are important. And the game should be better just on that. But my issue is that you're taking this stuff and then you're charging people full price of a game and calling it a new game, and it really is just NASCAR Heat 3 2.0. And that's what it is. And it's okay. If you still want to say, I'm still excited to see how this works out, I understand, because I'm one of those people. I'm going to get the game. And I am interested. I am really interested to see how this game actually feels, how the racing is. But that doesn't mean that I'm excited. Doesn't mean that I'm on board with all of these decisions and the way this whole thing is shaping up. There's a lot there that I don't like. And it's possible I may be one of the only people who feel this way. And if it is that way, then so be it. But that's pretty much all I got to say. I don't expect any surprises, and I don't expect any big information. I do expect that at some point they start really talking about the things they did mention, which isn't a lot, but yeah, explain to me how the physics are better. Explain to me how the sound is going to be better and how you worked on it. Explain more about the graphics in detail. Explain how the AI is going to be improved. What do you mean by spread? What do you mean by multiple lines? Is the sense of awareness? I mean, when they start talking about this stuff, hopefully they get into detail, and then maybe my interest and my excitement will move up. But as it is right now, and the way these guys market, I'm not excited. The marketing continues to be a failure, and this year I can't really. I mean, what are you gonna do if this is all they really did to the game? What can you do? So I don't. It doesn't matter who's marketing the game. It's not going to be a really great marketing if you don't have something to sell people. So I'm a little down about this thing, but I'm still interested in the game. I'm still curious about the things that they did confirm, and they did mention. I do believe it on their site that the physics are improved. So even though people were saying that nobody's actually made an official confirmation, they did confirm it. So physics, AI, all that stuff was worked on, and according to them is supposed to be better. And I hope for their sake that it is, because if it's not, this is going to be a huge problem. It's not enough, in my opinion, to just push this out as a new game, and this is all you get. So that's it. That's all I got to say. And once there's new information out, I'll talk about it. What do you guys think? I look forward to your comments.